Well, good day. This video is about keyboards. If you were at school, I would ask you, how many keys does your keyboard have? And then everybody would sit around and try to add up their keys to find out how many there were. Some people would get it right, some people would get it wrong. How many keys does your keyboard have? Well, at school, our keyboards have 104 keys. If you're on a Chromebook, you probably have 74 keys, not 104. Are you taking notes? You should take notes. Our keyboard at school is called a QWERTY keyboard, QWERTY, because the keys spell out the word QWERTY, and many keyboards are this way. They're all QWERTY keyboards. A QWERTY keyboard is an average, ordinary keyboard. Even your Chromebook is a QWERTY keyboard. It spells out QWERTY right on the keys. QWERTY keyboards have been around since typewriters were invented back in 1867. Here's one of the very first typewriters ever made, and it used a QWERTY keyboard. Look at that, QWERTY, QWERTY. So the QWERTY keyboard has been around for a long time. Here's a different kind of keyboard. This one's called the Dvorak keyboard, and you see the letters do not spell out QWERTY, do they? The letters are rearranged. You might notice that the vowels are on the left-hand side and the consonants are over on the right-hand side. The most commonly used letters in the English language are all there on the home row, the middle row. The Dvorak keyboard was invented by a guy named August Dvorak. He named it after himself back in the 1930s. He invented this keyboard because he thought people would be able to type faster because the keys you most often use are in the center of the keyboard, in the home row. So the most common letters in English are on the home row, so he thought you'd be typing faster. He thought there would be less hand and wrist stress by using his keyboard, and so they've done a lot of testing on this Dvorak keyboard, and they found out, well, maybe you can type a little faster, maybe you have a little less wrist stress, but maybe not. Almost everybody in the world uses a QWERTY keyboard. Dvorak keyboard, not so much. There is a new keyboard called the Chromebook keyboard, and it again rearranges the letters, trying to put the most commonly used English letters on the home row, hoping you would type faster with the Chromebook keyboard. Many typing programs let you choose a keyboard layout. QWERTY is just a choice among others. If you're thinking about switching over to a Dvorak keyboard or a Chromebook keyboard, you might watch one of these YouTube videos. This guy on the left, he thinks that the Dvorak keyboard worked really good for him. He could type a lot faster on it. And the guy on the right-hand side says, you know what, I tried it for months and months, and it didn't do so good for me. So if you wanted to watch these YouTube videos, you could just search for the title that I pasted underneath the pictures, and you can go watch those videos if you'd like. It's not required for this class. Let's just learn about the QWERTY keyboard. The first key I want to talk about is the Windows key, and it has this little Windows symbol on it. Now, you might not have two Windows keys, but you might have two Windows keys. If you're on a Chromebook, you don't have any Windows keys. If you just tap the Windows key by itself, it'll open up the Start menu. That's the little menu at the bottom left-hand side of your desktop. If you use Windows plus L, it'll lock your screen so that if you're going to leave your computer for a short time, maybe you need to leave the room or maybe you need to go to the bathroom or someplace else, you could lock your keyboard and then come back and you'll sign in with your password. Windows L is very important for people at school so they can lock their keyboard. Windows M is a good thing to write down. Are you writing these down? Windows M will minimize all programs. So you might have a program open or two or three programs open, and you want to get to the desktop right away, hold down the Windows and tap the M. Minimize all programs. Windows Tab is very interesting. It'll let you see all the active windows at once. So if you have 3 or 4 or 5 programs open, you can do Windows Tab. It'll show you all the programs you have open at once. So I made a little practice document called Robinson 7, and I want you to open that up and we're going to practice with it. So I don't know if you paused the video and opened up the Robinson 7 or you're just still watching this video, but we're going to play around with Robinson 7. First keys we're going to learn about is the maneuvering keys. That helps you get moved around in a document. The home key is a very important key. On the Chromebook, home is Control, Alt, up arrow. If you hold down the Control, the Alt, and the up arrow, it's the same as tapping the home key on a standard keyboard. The home key moves the insertion point to the beginning of a typed line. So, if you click in the middle of a typed line, and then you tap the home key, it'll jump to the beginning of the line you're on. Take some notes now. Now I want to talk about the End key. On a Chromebook, End is Control, Alt, down arrow. What does the End key do? The End key moves the insertion point to the end of the line you're on. So if you're in the middle of a typed line, and then you tap the End key, it'll move to the end of the line you're on. Take some notes. If you use the Control End key combination, you'll move to the end of the document. Even if it has 300 pages, it'll still move to the bottom of page 300. On a Chromebook, to move to the end of the document is Control, Search, right arrow. Control Home is a key combination that moves to the beginning of the document. It'll move to the top of page 1. On a Chromebook, the beginning of the document is Control, Search, left arrow. It'll move to the top of page 1 no matter where you are. The page down key is an important key. On a Chromebook, page down is Alt, down arrow. The page down key moves the insertion point one full screen. Now you'd think that if you were on page 1 and you press the page down key, that you would end up on page 2, but no. It just moves one screen full at a time. You have to give it a try. Go find out where the insertion point goes. What happens? Press page down many, many times and see if you can figure it out. The next one's the page up key. On a Chromebook, page up is Alt, up arrow. Take some notes. Are you writing this down? Page up will move the insertion point up one screen full. So if you move to the bottom of the document really fast, remember how to move to the bottom of the document really fast? Control End. If you move to the bottom of the document really fast and then you press the page up key, it will not move up to the next page. It'll just move one screen full at a time. Try it out. See what happens. Now I want to talk about the typing keys. But before I do, I want to talk about the number pad. The number pad is over here, and not all keyboards have a number pad, but some do. On a Chromebook, sorry, there's no number pad for you. To use the number pad, you have to have the num lock key on, and then the little light will light up, and it'll know that these numbers are not page up anymore. They're not the home key. They are numbers now. So I want you to turn on your num lock if you have one, and then type out this on a clean, fresh line. Just type out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to do a little experiment. Use your mouse now and click in between the 5 and the 6. We're ready to do an experiment. We're going to talk about the difference between the backspace key and the delete key because many students don't know the difference. On a Chromebook, there is no delete key. Delete is Alt plus backspace. Hold down the Alt and tap the backspace. The backspace key erases the character to the left. The delete key erases the character to the right. So, if you're between the 5 and the 6 and you press the backspace key, you will erase the 5. If you press the backspace key again, you'll erase the 4 and the 3. But if you press the delete key, it will erase things that are to the right of the insertion point. It'll delete the 6, then it'll delete the 7. You need to know the difference between the backspace key and the delete key. They are not the same thing. Everybody knows that the shift key makes capital letters, so I don't need to talk about that. I want to talk about the caps lock key. The caps lock key will turn on the caps lock light, and this is the number one reason why people's password does not work, because they type their password but the caps lock key is on. If you can't log into something and your password doesn't work, check right away to see if the caps lock light is on. On a Chromebook, caps lock is Alt plus search. You hold down the Alt, you tap the search button, the search key. Only use the caps lock key if you're going to type many capital letters at the same time. So don't use the caps lock key just to type one capital letter at a time. I've seen many students do this. Don't do this. Use the shift key to make just one capital letter. But if you need to make many capital letters in a row, well, then it's time for the caps lock. Now I want to talk about the tab key. The tab key is the key that's going to push the insertion point right 1/2 inch. That's what it usually does. It can do other things too, but that's one of the main things it does. You start a paragraph with a tab key, and I cannot emphasize this enough. When you're doing paragraphs in this class, every paragraph is going to start out with a tab key. Well, at least most of the time. The tab key is going to start a paragraph. So here's two little paragraphs, and I have a little space in front of this paragraph, and I have a space in front of the second little paragraph. To begin a paragraph, I have some empty space, and a lot of poor students will press the space bar, space bar, space bar, space bar, space bar, and then they'll start typing. Okay, don't do that. To start a paragraph, just use the tab key. Press the tab, and you're ready to start your paragraph. So, to begin a paragraph, what do? Don't press spacebar a bunch of times. No. Use the tab key, of course. That's it. Now I want to talk about some special keys, some helper keys. The function keys are across the top, F1 all the way to F12, and those are called function keys. The F keys are the function keys. On a Chromebook, there are no function keys. Usually F1 is help in almost all programs. If you tap F1, it'll open up a help screen for you. We'll learn about other function keys along the way in this class. The escape key is supposed to get you out of problems, but usually doesn't work. But it's worth a try. Sometimes it'll work. The control keys I've already talked about before. The control key is usually used in combination with other keys to do shortcuts. For example, Control F is find. If you're in the Robinson document and you do Control F, it'll ask you what word you want to go find. You type in the word and he'll find it in that document for you. So all the letters of the alphabet have a shortcut key with the control key. For instance, Control P is print, or Control R is write a line, or Control C is copy, or Control W is close. So there's a shortcut key for all alphabet keys. We'll learn more about the control keys as we go through the class. Alt key is the alternate key. Alt stands for alternate. It's used in shortcut combinations as well. For instance, if you use Alt-I, it'll open up the insert menu. And there's a lot of shortcuts with the Alt key, and we'll go over those as we go through the class. We'll learn about these other special keys. They're kind of older keys that don't have very much use anymore, but we're going to use them. I'll show you how to use them in our class, but we're not going to learn about them right now. Well, that's about all there is to it.